Approximately 6,000 babies in the United States are born with Down syndrome every year. That's about 1 in every 700. In the past 40 years, the life expectancy for a person born with Down syndrome has increased from 25 years to 60 years. Though the risk of Down syndrome increases with age, 80% of children with Down syndrome are born to mothers 35 years old or younger. 50% of children born with Down syndrome are also born with heart defects, and there are 3 major different cases of Down syndrome. There are thousands of statistics on Down syndrome and tons of gigantic numbers, but many are still very confused by the most common genetic disorder. It is time to answer the question many of you are asking: what is Down syndrome? To truly understand Down syndrome, it is necessary to first fully understand the process of cell division. In each human cell, there are 46 chromosomes, 23 inherited from mom and 23 inherited from dad. The 46 chromosomes that one gets from their mother and father duplicate and divide into new cells as a person grows. In reproductive cells, though, the cell divides twice instead of once, thus creating 4 cells with 23 chromosomes instead of 2 with 46. The system is not always perfect, and sometimes errors occur. The process of cell division is called mitosis, and the process of forming gametes is called meiosis. Meiosis occurs in reproductive cells, the sperm and the eggs, while mitosis occurs in the rest of the body cells. Mitosis has 4 division steps: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. In meiosis, the cell goes through each step twice, with the only major difference being in metaphase. In prophase, the chromosomes condense and the nuclear envelope disappears. Then, in metaphase, the chromosomes are lined up at the middle of the cell and spindle fibers are attached to each of the chromatids. In anaphase, the sister chromatids are pulled apart by the spindle fibers. Finally, in telophase, a cleavage furrow forms as the nuclear envelope is rebuilt and the cell splits in 2. In meiosis, the chromosomes line up and form tetrads in metaphase 1. Thus, there are 23 tetrads in a human cell that are divided. Then, the cell proceeds through anaphase 1, telophase 1, and prophase 2, before reaching metaphase 2, where 23 chromosomes line up at the center of the cell. This is the major difference between mitosis and meiosis. Down syndrome occurs when there is an error in the metaphase step, specifically in metaphase 2, when spindle fibers do not attach to both of the sister chromatids. Thus, gametes can be formed with an extra chromosome. For Down syndrome, that extra chromosome is the 21st chromosome. Thus, the scientific name is trisomy 21. When the egg or sperm with the extra chromosome forms a zygote, the child conceived has 3 copies of the 21st chromosome. This is called non-disjunction and is the cause of 95% of Down syndrome cases. Mosaicism is another form of Down syndrome which results after the embryo has been formed. Thus, some cells have 47 chromosomes, while others have 46, and some even have 45. Mosaicism only accounts for 1% of all Down syndrome cases, though. The final type of Down syndrome that accounts for 4% of cases is translocation, in which only part of an extra 21st chromosome is present and it is added onto another chromosome, generally the 14th chromosome. Down syndrome has well-known and distinguishable physical characteristics. These include decreased or poor muscle tone, a short neck with excess skin at the back of the neck, a flattened facial profile and nose, small head, ears, and mouth, upward slanting eyes, brush-filled spots in the colored portions of the eyes, that is, white spots, wide short hands with short fingers, and a single deep crease across the palm of the hand. There are also intellectual and developmental symptoms of Down syndrome, which include short attention span, poor judgment, impulsive behavior, slow learning, and delayed language and speech development. Additionally, people with Down syndrome are at an increased risk for other health problems. Approximately 50% of people with Down syndrome have congenital heart disease. About 60% of children born with Down syndrome have vision problems that include cataracts, being cross-eyed, and having lazy eyes. Nearly 75% of people with Down syndrome have significant hearing loss, and they are 12 times more likely to die from untreated or unmonitored infections. People with Down syndrome are significantly more likely to develop hypothyroidism, and they are 10 to 15 times more likely to develop leukemia, which is cancer of the white blood cells. They are also more likely to have anemia and polycythemia, which are other blood conditions. 20% of people with Down syndrome have misshapen bones at the top of the spinal cord that significantly increases the risk of injury. People with Down syndrome often suffer from sleep apnea and are more likely to suffer from seizures even well into adult life. Also, people with Down syndrome tend to have dental issues, such as not having enough teeth, and they are more likely to develop gum disease. Furthermore, people with Down syndrome often have digestive issues, such as celiac disease, and are more likely to suffer from emotional and mental health issues. Down syndrome has no single cure or no single treatment. Since the cases of Down syndrome vary greatly, each individual requires specific treatment to their case. In order to give a person with Down syndrome the best quality of life, doctors believe in early intervention, which basically involves treating the cognitive and physical disabilities of children with Down syndrome almost immediately. Treatment for kids with Down syndrome involves 4 major fields: physical therapy, speech-language therapy, occupational therapy, and emotional therapy. Down syndrome is such a common disorder that it requires so much attention, so it is vital that you donate today and help children and their families have a better life. The National Down Syndrome Society is an organization dedicated to advocating for and engaging with those who have Down syndrome. The mission of the National Down Syndrome Society is to create a world where the quality of life of people with Down syndrome is increased and that they can be valued members of society with equal goals and aspirations, valued equally as others. With your donations, the National Down Syndrome Society would be able to make further strides in their goal and help fund research. The Down syndrome-specific research done by the National Down Syndrome Society is targeted towards specific areas that challenge people with Down syndrome. An example is speech and language researchers that are trying to better understand how children with Down syndrome learn so that other kids with Down syndrome will have an easier and more specific education. Other researchers are finding out more about the link between Down syndrome and the serious health risks that many people with Down syndrome suffer from, specifically the correlation between Down syndrome and Alzheimer's. Overall, the National Down Syndrome Society has a goal and is looking to set up a future for thousands of children born each year with this chromosomal disorder. Your donations could help change the lives of people all around you. To donate, please visit www.ndss.org/donate/donate-2-ndss/.